Welcome to the 2019 Jewish Communities Law Enforcement Appreciation Breakfast Program. Now, keep in mind that if we recognized every important dignitary in this room today, it wouldn't be a breakfast program, it'd be a breakfast, lunch, and dinner program. So, saying that, let's move on. I do want to point out that literature from the sponsors, if they have any for the different organizations, is to be found out in the lobby on a table. Now, sometime between 9:15, sometime in the next half hour or so, we're going to have some very special little visitors. If you recall, the Hebrew schools in the area have done thank you cards for the police. And they'll come in, whenever it is, we stop. And they walk around and distribute the cards. Now, some of these little kids, they'll be scared, so be nice. Now, please note that the program is being videoed. So if you're involved in some work where you don't want it to be, anybody can see your face, please tell the gentleman in the rear, and he will make sure that it won't appear in public. Now, to streamline the program, to make it, because we have something special this year, we included as much as possible in the program book. There's a list of all the primary honorees that we've had in the past and the keynote speakers. There's bios of the keynote speaker and of all the honorees to cut down on the presentation and introductions. There's also brief descriptions of the sponsors, organizations. The teddy bears, the Toys for Tears. You'll notice that's the centerpiece. There's also a description on that. And I'd like to point out that we have distributed to law enforcement and prosecutors and transit and quite a few others, FBI, state police, over 1,100 teddy bears to be given to children in crisis. We're doing the 50-50 again. Now, this will shock you. We have given from the 50-50, plus any profits from the breakfast, a total of $5,600 over the years. And there's also descriptions in the program book of those organizations. Now, during breakfast, to save time, when it looks like most people are finished, we will have two of these sponsors come up and give you some brief remarks about the organization. Now, we've changed the format. We're very fortunate that the Honoree Selection Committee decided we were blessed with so many worthy nominations that we wanted to give everyone who actually deserved it an award. It was a dilemma, though. We try to make this breakfast end as close to 10:30 as possible. So we came up with a different format. The solution was to call the honorees, along with the person who was to present their individual awards, to the presentation area. Then John Hoffman, past special honoree and New Jersey Attorney General, will speak of each honoree before each presenter will then hand the plaque to them. Each honoree will then have a few minutes to speak to the audience. Following that, the podium will go back to our MC, and we will have this year's special honoree recognized in the traditional manner. Now, who are the sponsors and the Honoree Selection Committee? South Jersey Men's Club, President Marty Raffner. Jewish Community Relations Council of Southern New Jersey, President Marcy Baruch. Shomrim of Philadelphia in the Delaware Valley, President Howard Lebowski. Jewish War Veterans, Commander Selena Kanowitz. Anti-Defamation League, Regional Director Nancy Baron Bear. Burlington County Police Chief Association, President Bill Eliason. Camden County Sheriff Department, Sheriff Whip Wilson. Camden County Detectives Association, President Tim Hack. Camden County Police Chief Association, President Len Check. Gloucester County Police Chief Association, President John McEwen. Salem County Police Chief Association, Ted Stranahan. Plus, on the selection committee for the honorees, we had representing past honorees, the 2018 special honoree, Chris Fletcher. Before turning the podium over to our Master of Ceremonies, I personally am very pleased to extend my congratulations and a hearty mazel tov to all the honorees. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the 2019 Master of Ceremonies, a man who began as a military policeman. Then he became a Philly cop. His nickname was Mad Dog. Then he was a special agent for the FBI. He eventually retired as second in charge for the Philadelphia Office of Customs and Border Protection. He's a recognized polygraph expert who has done consultant work for security services throughout the world. He's a man whose impact will be felt for a long time by virtue of his being one of the founders of the Viaduct Society. He's a member of Shalom Ream and South Jersey Men's Club and has been for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Bill Fleischer.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for that undeserved warm welcome. Before we start, I'd just like to say we've all probably heard the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. Well, we live in interesting and dangerous times. Burnings of mosques, churches, synagogues, all kinds of attacks on our community, our religious community. And the men and the women of law enforcement, the people sitting in this room, are the people that are the thin blue line that protect us and keep us safe and allow all of us, regardless of our denomination, to pray in peace to our gods. And for that reason, we honor you when we have these law enforcement breakfasts. His idea was Mike Perloff, by the way, many, many years ago, to do this. So thank you for attending. It's very important. I offer you a round of applause to the attendees. At this point, I'd like to, before the honor guard comes in and the presentation of the colors, I'd like to bring up Camden County Police Chiefs Association President Len Check, Burlington PCA President Bill Eliason, Gloucester County PCA Vice President John Mills, and Salem County PCA President John Stranahan. If you all come up here, please. I'd also like to bring up Camden County Detectives Chiefs Association President Tim Hack, and if welcome. If the honor guard would enter, let's all stand at attention. And if Cantor Neil Schnitzer would come up, please, offers us and has. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for the national anthem.
Present. Ho!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Or, ho! Right. Hey. Forward. Forward.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, Temple Emmanuel is very honored to host this law enforcement gathering once again. This is the safest place this morning in South Jersey. Although somebody parked in my reserved parking space. I don't know exactly who to go to. Okay. So I am going to offer, it's called a Devar Torah. It's just a word of Torah, and it just will be a couple words. It's a word of teaching. So I wanted to share a personal story with all of you. I'm sure many of you have gone back home, like where you grew up, to see what it's like. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was back in Cincinnati after many, many years for a rabbi's conference. That's the kind of conference when somebody calls, "Hey, Rabbi," and 300 people turn around. You know what that's like when they say, "Officer." In any case, I was there with my son, Ben, who's also a rabbi, and he's in Mount Holly at Adat Emmanuel. And I wanted to show him the home where I grew up. I think he was sort of surprised that the home was very small and at this point very run down. And it meant a lot. Actually, I did knock on the door. I was hoping the tenant would say, you know, "Why don't you come in, look around?" But okay. But in any case, I did want to go back to my elementary school to see a tree. And the story of this tree is when I was in first grade and this elementary school had just opened, brand new, there was a boy in our first grade class who I became friendly with. And then all of a sudden, we were told this boy, Tom, died. And that was a shock. And then they said, we're going to honor Tom's memory. He died of cancer. He died of leukemia. I never heard of it. And we're going to have this gathering on the front lawn and in this new triangular part of ground. We're going to plant a tree. Everyone's going to be there, the whole school. We're going to sing some songs. And then at some point, we're going to bring this tree in. We're going to plant it for Tom. And I remember seeing what was going on there, that, yes, we sang some songs, and then somebody brought in this, it wasn't a tree, it was a sapling. It was maybe a foot tall. And I remember thinking, even in first grade, how disrespectful. I mean, really? That's how we're going to honor Tom's memory? By planting a twig? And I didn't think that by the end of the summer it would even be there. And there was one other visit, 25 years ago, I saw it was still there. But I went back this time with my son. And that tree towered over the school. You could see it from all over. And I wanted to take a picture, with me and the tree and my son, and I realized, we have security needs now, so the headmaster of the school, "Can I help you? What's going on?" I mean, we're there taking pictures in front of the school, and it had become an Orthodox, a very traditional, we call it yeshiva. So the headmaster came out, and we spoke, and I told him what I was doing, and I said, you have to, we have a Jewish holiday called Tu B'Shvat, when you celebrate trees. You have to tell your students about this tree that was planted so many years ago and is now so vibrant and vital. And you know what? That's what we do. That's what you do. You're planting seeds. You never know what you do will have any effect. Will it have some greater purpose or meaning? But you do it anyway. And maybe you see the end result, and maybe you never know and never get to see it at all. But you know you've done your best. Just one word before we do the blessing, and having all of you here is a blessing. Since 9/11, we've had, in our case, Cherry Hill Police presence here whenever we're here. And at first, I think back then, it made people a little uncomfortable. Our members were not used to seeing a police officer. Every time you enter the temple, you come to services, there's a police officer. Kids come to school, there's police. There's a police car outside. You know what? These officers are our best friends. The kids know them. They respect them. They don't fear them. They talk to them. The officer often knows them by name at this point. We share a soft pretzel together. And it's been really fantastic that our little kids, and a lot of kids are going to come in from our preschool, they're going to come in to give you cards to a family member. That's what it's like to them. Imagine what we've done out of a need, out of a necessity to have protection, that we've changed their whole perception of what it means to be a law enforcement officer. That's what we've done. So thank you for that too. And now we thank God for the food we're about to have. I've been told that in the past, you have not tried everything on the buffet table. Don't be afraid of it. Some of it is Jewish soul food. And if it really takes hold, then you can join the synagogue. The kids is going to help me with motzi, which is the blessing of the bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon, which says, "Blessed are you, eternal God, who brings forth bread from the earth." Amen.
Amen.
And welcome.
Thank you, Rabbi.
In 2021, the Jewish war veterans will be celebrating their 125th anniversary. There have been millions of Americans fighting for our country, and over 1 million Jewish men and women who have served just in the 20th and 21st centuries. JWV has always worked closely with law enforcement on the national and the local levels. Our JWV Post 126 has worked side by side with law enforcement, including Thanksgiving dinner for the troops, flagging of veteran graves, Memorial Day ceremonies, and many other various activities. Veterans took a lifelong oath to preserve and protect the Constitution, which rests to a large extent on strong, adequate law and order throughout America. Recently, there has been an increase in anti-Semitic attacks by Congresspeople and others. We're certain that law enforcement officers will work with us to preserve the freedom of speech and to enforce the United States Constitution, right to worship as we please. I pledge on behalf of JWV that we will continue to support the men and women of law enforcement and to work together to defend our Constitution. Thank you for all that you do, and God bless the United States of America.
At this point, we would like to invite the young officers from the Hebrew School to come in and show their appreciation to our attendees. Forward, march. Thank you so much, children. Don't be shy.
Before I offer this blessing in a moment of silence, I'd like to speak from my heart just for a second, because not only do I experience safety and security in my workplace here at Temple Emmanuel, thanks to police presence, but my sons attend the Kelman Brown Academy, where there's also a regular police presence. And to describe the double blessing that I receive, the experience of walking in on Dr. Seuss's birthday, where the school is celebrating, and to find the officer there, who I understand has approval from his CO, wearing a cat in the hat and suspenders, and truly integrating into the school, so that the children there don't feel that this is a point of a threat to their safety, but this is another wonderful adult presence adding to their learning experience and the beautiful community that they experience. They are truly integrating. That's an amazing thing. So I want to thank you. I want to offer this blessing, followed by a moment of silence for fallen officers.
Please rise.
God of the selfless, God of the strong and the brave, watch over those who dedicate their lives to serving and protecting others, men and women who have answered the call of honor, duty, and service, who risk life and limb to maintain law and order. Grant them protection in the pursuit of our safety. Grant them skill in the pursuit of our well-being. Grant them wisdom in the pursuit of justice. Rock of truth, watch over our communities with love. Bring an end to crime and violence, so that all may know your compassion and your grace. Rock of ages, stronghold and shelter, bless all who serve in the policing professions with your care. In their work, bless them with fortitude and strength, insight and judgment. In their lives, bless them with joy and health, security and well-being. Let their deeds resound with fairness and integrity, the calling of their profession, a source of blessing in our midst. Rock of love, bless the souls of those who've died in our service. Heal the broken hearts of those they've left behind. May the memories of those fallen officers be sanctified with joy and love. And let us all be blessed with peace. And we say,
Thank you. As President of the Board of the Jewish Community Relations Council, JCRC, I'd like to welcome you all to this event jointly sponsored by the Men's Club, the ADL, and the JCRC. By the way, the JCRC is an agency within the Federation itself. There are other agencies that are represented here tonight, such as the JCC, the Jewish Family and Children's Services, and our own CEO of the Federation, Jen Weiss, sitting over there. So we want to welcome you, and from our heart, we thank you. With my own background working for NYPD, I have a very special appreciation for you all and the utmost respect for what you do every day. A great big thank you working together with the JCRC on issues such as anti-Semitism in our communities, threats against our schools, threats against our building, and of course, when we need extra security for events, you're always there. You all provide our community with a feeling of safety, something that we often take for granted because of the great job that you do. And you saw the little faces here of the people who you are protecting. We're also grateful to all of the officers who have become readers in our Bookmates program, which is our interfaith literacy program, where readers go into low and moderate income school districts and read to children. In 2015, President Obama, at the time, even mentioned this program when he visited Camden. And Mayor Red, as well as the acting superintendent of Camden Schools, Katrina McCombs, recently wrote a letter to us about how this has raised the students' reading level and allowed the children to really appreciate the police and overall improve their relationships with authority figures in general. So thank you again, and it's an honor for us to honor you.
At this point, I'd like to bring the Anti-Defamation League Director, Nancy Barron-Bear, up to introduce our next speaker.
Good morning, everyone. That sounds good. That sounds good. My name is Nancy Barron-Bear, and I'm the Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League. Our office is in Philadelphia, but we serve all of Southern Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, and Delaware. We have co-sponsored this Law Enforcement Appreciation Breakfast for many years. And we do it as a small token of our appreciation to all of you for all the work that you do here in South Jersey. Since 1913, when ADL was founded, we have worked in accordance with our mission to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment for all. As you can hear from that mission, securing justice and fair treatment for all, it will be a while until we're unemployed, sadly. We do this work through advocacy, through education, through legislation, through outreach. And we understand that all of you are critical to our work, And that is why we are the largest non-governmental trainer of law enforcement in the United States today. We regularly provide investigative research and assistance, and we have developed world-class expertise on the topics of countering extremism, terrorism, and hate crimes. We have trained hundreds of thousands of law enforcement officers on these topics, as well as conducting trainings on managing implicit bias and our special law enforcement and society program. We have been honored at ADL to work with the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. We've done that for many years, and it is my distinct honor today to introduce to you, as our keynote speaker, its director, Jared Maples. They are a true partner and a friend fighting hate in the Garden State. And as its director, Director Maples deserves a lot of the credit for the agency's dedication to combating hate in the state. Director Maples inherited the agency that was already committed to this kind of work, and he has taken that commitment to new levels. This past December, ADL honored Director Maples with the 2018 Making a Difference Award at our annual Central and Northern New Jersey Securing Justice Awards dinner. That was in recognition for his leadership and his contributions to fighting bigotry across the entire state. Under Director Maples, the department and the office has worked very closely with our Center on Extremism on investigations throughout the state. We've partnered on statewide conferences for law enforcement, one last October on sovereign citizen movement, and upcoming this October, I can't give you the exact date, but we want you to save it and be there in Atlantic City on a number of domestic extremism topics. We've collaborated on a variety of resources for law enforcement and even helped create a poster of common extremist symbols for the office. While you can read Director Maples' bio right in your little booklet, I want to highlight just a few aspects of the work that he has done. He assumed his role in January of 2018 and serves as the federally designated Homeland Security Advisor and cabinet-level executive for the state of New Jersey. He's had a very long and distinguished career in law enforcement, serving in the Office of the Secretary of Defense, the CIA, and now where he is today in the State Department of Homeland Security and Preparedness. We're proud of our partnership. We're proud of our partnership with you, and we're deeply grateful to you and your whole office for helping to keep New Jersey safe from hate. Please join me in welcoming Director Maples. Thank you.
So that was quite an introduction. I'm not going to be able to follow that up, I think. I've got about 2 hours worth of remarks, so buckle in. That's a joke for the back right corner there. So thank you, first of all, to the Philadelphia ADL. Nancy, your work is so vital to the communities that we serve. One of the unique characteristics of being in New Jersey is we have the North and the South. It's one of the reasons I'm very pleased to be here in the South today. I made a promise to the county prosecutors, many of which I saw today, Camden, Gloucester, Burlington, amongst other offices that are here. But I made a promise to them when I first started as director that it wouldn't be the last time they saw me. I'd come down and continue to come down. So events like this are important for two reasons. One, obviously to recognize our law enforcement partners and make sure that you get the credit for the work that you do every day to protect the communities, both the faith-based and the general communities. But then two, also to get an opportunity to come down in person and really be here and present from the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. I think a lot of people in the room recognize that one of the key areas that we can contribute across the state is in leading and showing where we are as a state regarding hate. And I will tell you that from the governor to the attorney general to Colonel Callahan of the state police, there is no place for hate here in New Jersey. It's something we're dedicated to. It's something we will continue to strive for and work directly with our federal, state, and local partners. One of the key pieces of the things that we do at Homeland Security is we connect the local communities, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, county law enforcement with the faith-based groups. One of the great things about this organization is you're doing that. A good example, an unfortunate example being New Zealand. After the New Zealand attack, we had a statewide conference call. We have the Interfaith Advisory Council that encompasses all 21 counties, 2,500 members actually from the leadership from across all faiths. So Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Hindu, you name it, we have a representative from leadership there. And we had a call to let them know what we knew, a little bit more than what was on TV. We had all of our law enforcement partners there and present on that call as well. And one of the biggest things that we came out with was increased security support. And I can tell you down south and certainly in these counties here, that wasn't a big ask. It was already happening well before we put that message out. And that's a credit to the law enforcement partners in the room, I mean, clearly, and what you do. God forbid an incident like New Zealand happens here in New Jersey, but we are prepared, and I know in the local communities, events like this and continuous coordination before an event happens is so vital to stopping or overcoming one of those events when they do happen. Tim Gallagher, the former special agent in charge of the Newark field office of the FBI, used to say, you don't want to exchange business cards in a command post. And I think that that's truly relevant to a group like this, combining local law enforcement and the faith-based communities. How important it is before, God forbid, something happens in our communities, that you know each other, that you know what the reactions are going to be, that you know who's coming and how they're coming. There's statistical evidence that will overcome and help save lives. It'll help prevent things from happening in the first place, which is our goal. So I commend this group for that side as well. On a front, I want to talk a little bit more about what we as an office do to provide to the community, just to make sure everyone's aware of it. But I do want to take a moment to congratulate the honorees. I won't be here. I'm actually going to Atlantic City. This is a true South Jersey day for me. I'd probably try to get to a Phillies game later if I could. But I want to make sure I commemorate you and recognize the work that you do. It doesn't go unnoticed in Trenton. I will tell you that it's something we talk about often, and on those calls, this contingent here is always present on those calls, always present in the meetings that Nancy outlined, some of those group efforts that we do. We always have strong presence from county prosecutors level on down to municipal chiefs and departments. And that's commendable. That's something, that I will get through as a state and support. One of the things, the great philosopher, Mike Tyson, says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I use that quote because it really is it's the truth. The saying that I worked at CIA, not the Culinary Institute of America, the CIA, but I was not a spy. I protected them. That's what I did. I was a protective operations officer. So I would go overseas and protect people that needed to be protected, often in very hostile environments like Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, etc. And I will tell you that the saying we have there is no plan survives first contact, right? So every plan you come up with, there's always going to be a deviation. It's never going to go the way you planned it. But you have to have a plan in place to overcome. You have to have these type of relationships that we're here today doing, networking and developing in order to overcome those. And that's where the Mike Tyson quote comes into play. You got a plan, you get punched in the face, then things go crazy. But you've got to always stick back to that plan and adapt and overcome based off of that. So I want to make sure I highlight there. One of the areas that we really focus on at Homeland Security, and I want to make sure I highlight for the group, we operate the grants, federal grants and state grants for faith-based and nonprofit organizations throughout the state. And what that means is we know there's, again, best practices available that say when you have the right locks and alarms in place, camera systems, security presence, training, active shooter training, all these different mechanisms, we know that is going to help, again, success in an unfortunate event. So we offer those with millions and millions of dollars available. In New Jersey, for the federal program, we had $4 million. We now have $8 million. The federal program, unfortunately, is largely up north, but we're working to expand that every day. And it's important for you to know that we are working to expand that. I bring that up that way. Because we couldn't get all those dollars down south, we created a state program as well. And those have full access to all 21 counties. There's several $millions available in total over several years. And I implore you to take advantage of those. They're on our website at njhomelandsecurity.gov or njohsp.gov. Take advantage of those resources. We'll walk you through the application. Your success is our success. We want these dollars getting out to the communities. So take advantage of that. Work with your local police departments, your county prosecutor's offices to do the assessments that will help feed the scoring and make sure that you get the money available. So I want to highlight that. I mentioned training. Our office teams up, again, not just with ADL and the county prosecutors, but across the state in offering active shooter training. We do that in conjunction with the Attorney General's office, of course, state police in many locations, and then, of course, the local police. Take advantage of that as well. We come out in person. We have online training. We do in-person events as well. Again, those are best practices to know that if you think about it. And I wish, as the Director of Homeland Security, that I didn't have to come and talk to the communities about this, that it's a problem, but it is. It's a reality. Pittsburgh happened. New Zealand happened. And we want to make sure that we're throwing everything we possibly can at it. So I encourage you to take advantage of those resources. And then finally, the analysis that we provide. Nancy touched on it, but we work with groups like the ADL, the FBI, DHS, and onward to make sure that we have the most real-time and relevant information about these groups that are out there that are attacking our communities. We have seen an uptick in domestic terrorism, there's no question. Small things like graffiti and damage to property, flyering, recruiting, those type of events are happening. They're happening in our state. And the only way we're going to get through those and punch through those is to really highlight them and call them out. And that's what our office is doing, and making sure that the communities and the local law enforcement are aware of what to look for, who's doing them, the groups that are there. And then we can get out ahead of this and hopefully stop some of these incidents from happening again, like at Pittsburgh or New Zealand. Those are of interest to us, certainly, as well. The final thing that I would mention is the Interfaith Advisory Council. I talked about it before, 2,500 members. If you're not a member, your department, if you're in law enforcement, I encourage you to join. We have the calls. We have in-person meetings every quarter. Also, from a faith-based community approach, we welcome you. It's an open tent. We want to make sure that all the voices are heard from across all faiths in New Jersey. But it becomes a great opportunity for us to get together in rooms like this one. We don't give out awards. Maybe we should start giving out awards, actually, in good food. But we do get together and we have blunt, direct conversation between the religious community and the law enforcement community and make sure we're aware. We bring federal government entities involved in that as well, and we all sit down, we hash through issues that happen, and we have many in the state, but we always get through it together because we're blunt and direct and transparent in one setting. And again, we do those calls as well. So I welcome you all to join that effort. I think it's pretty important to what's going on throughout the state. The final thing that I'll touch on is in cybersecurity. There's an increasing nexus between physical and cybersecurity in the United States, and certainly here too in New Jersey. So we have a lot of resources available. We have what's called the NJKIC, the New Jersey Cyber and Communications Integration Cell, that has a lot of information available. There's been a huge uptick in attacks on local police departments. I bring that up specifically because local police have been targeted frequently. School districts, water authorities, electric authorities, all these different areas. What happens is they come in and they send an email to a random person in your office or organization, and somebody clicks on it, they get access to the system, and they take it hostage. It's just like a traditional kidnapping. They hold it for ransom, hence ransomware. And it shuts the system down. They won't release it to you until you pay X amount of dollars, or normally Bitcoin. That's an issue that's affecting real-time our communities. Not just the folks in the community, but the public servants like the police that serve it. And that's something we're very concerned with, and I want to make sure we highlight that there are resources available should that happen in your area or department, and there are resources available to help prevent that and stop that. So please take advantage of those as well. And that can be on our website, again, njohsp.gov, or at cyber.nj.gov, which is our cyber website. And one of the great benefits of being the Director of Homeland Security, Nancy alluded to this, we've had a huge groundswell of efforts in the past several years to really get out ahead of these problems, and I'm proud to take the mantle on and drive them forward. And the final thing I'd like to mention, I forgot to bring him up, and there's a lot of great partners in this room. I talked to the prosecutors, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention former Attorney General John Hoffman, who's been a great friend of mine personally and certainly to our office, and I know the entire faith-based community. I bring him up in closing because I think it's important to highlight that partnerships are what we're doing in New Jersey. Partnerships are where the rubber meets the road in Homeland Security, and we will not get through any of these events without that partnership in place. So know you have a partner, know we're here for you, know that you'll probably get sick of seeing me in South Jersey. I told Phil Aaron now I don't know where Phil is. I'll be back very shortly. And thank you all for your partnership, and congratulations to all the awardees. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Naples. That was an excellent keynote speech. At this point, I'd like to invite up Arkady Hasidovich, who is a military policeman from Israel. He's going to talk a little bit about law enforcement efforts over there. So, Arkady?
Good morning, welcome Tov. My name is Arkady Hasidovich, and I'm the emissary from Israel. I came here to the Jewish community of Southern New Jersey with my family for a couple of years. I work at the Federation, at the Jewish Federation of Southern New Jersey, here across the street. And my job is to bring Israel to the Jewish community, but also outside of the community. And when I heard about this tribute to the law enforcement community, it was very important for me to come because I myself belong to the law enforcement community in Israel. I'm a military policeman, reservist, right? Reservist, because in Israel, everyone has two professions. One, your civil profession, and the other one is your military profession. Because in Israel, almost everybody serves in the army. 3 years young men, 2 years young women, and then you continue with your life as a reservist. They call you up for once a year, for a week, or sometimes even more. So everybody has two professions. So in my civil profession, I would say maybe I'm a diplomat, and in my military profession, I'm a military policeman. That's what it says on my official military file. So, and people sometimes can have simultaneous, parallel two careers, one civil career and one military career. So somebody can be a businessman or a lawyer or a doctor, and then he has another career in the military. And some people even manage to get to higher ranks in addition to their civil life. This is how it is in Israel. We live in a tough neighborhood, and this is why the military service is so important, is so organic to the Israeli experience. As I mentioned, almost everybody is being recruited. Now, the military in general is a great mixer of the young people in Israel. So, for instance, I came to Israel when I was 15 years old. I was born in Soviet Union, the country that doesn't exist anymore, in Moscow. Came with my family to Israel, and after 4 years, still with my Russian accent, I'm commanding over soldiers who were born and raised in Israel. And that's a typical thing in Israel, that mixing of various groups. Now, as a military policeman, when I served in the military for my 3 years in the 90s, I was in charge of military prison, well, one of the battalions in the military prison for Palestinian terrorists. And after I finished my military service, for almost 20 years, I served as a commander of an all-terrain squad of traffic regulation. I'm also responsible for setting up POW camps in case of emergency. This is not a combat unit, but I can tell you that the military police were almost the first ones being drafted in cases of wars and emergencies to make sure that the troops and the supply chain, we have a regulated traffic to wherever they need to get. Now, I'm not very much familiar with the law enforcement community here and with the police here, but I already can see a few differences between the way that the police is perceived here and in Israel. First of all, in Israel, the police patrol cars, the police patrol vehicles, they're always with their flashers on. All right, flashers on. No siren, but with flashers on. The idea is to extend, project the presence of the police just beyond a single patrol car. So the other day I was driving around Cherry Hill, speeding a little bit, just a little bit, and I see a police patrol vehicle behind me with the flashers on. So I say, okay, it's a regular thing. He's just projecting from my life in Israel, and I keep driving, and it's become suspicious. And after a while, he buzzed me off, and I pull over, and the police officer is very surprised because I'm in a suit, so I look presentable. So I explained the situation, and actually the police officer was very interested in that experience. So I got out with a warning. But that just gives you an idea. The idea is deterrence, and also community involvement. The police in Israel is very much involved in the community. They invest huge amount of resources to prevention and to community involvement. There is a whole department in the police with their own police community workers. There are youth movements, police youth movements. The police belongs to Ministry of Internal Affairs, so we don't have many kinds of police. There's only one police. And the high-ranking officers are being appointed by the state or by the police itself and are not elected. So this involvement, just like with the military, in the military, since everybody serves and everybody kind of goes through that process, the Israelis feel that the military and the police are just part of the people. This is not some separate corporations that we don't necessarily feel affiliated with. This is just part of us, part of the people. And even today, in this cynical day and age, the service in the police and the service in the military is still considered very honorable. So much so that if, let's say, a politician or an artist who, in rare cases, didn't serve in the military and they make a controversial remark, they might dismiss him and say, well, he didn't even serve. Why are we even listening to him? I don't think that kind of thing would fly here in the U.S. Military in the police, in the as we call blue police, the civil police, because of the color of the uniform, they also run volunteer corps, which means that everybody can volunteer to police. You get your basic training, you get your M1 carbine, and you go and serve. Of course, you give it back after your shift, but nevertheless you are with a gun. And volunteers make a minimum 12 hours a month worth of shifts, and when you count them, they actually outnumber the police officers on a payroll. So this is definitely a part of the community. And you know, I know that our countries are great allies, obviously, and I also know that there's a big cooperation between the law enforcement community in both countries. And please see me as a resource to link this law enforcement community with your counterparts in Israel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arkady. At this point, I'd like to call up Phil Freeman, who is with the Division of Civil Rights, State of New Jersey, Director of Prevention, Outreach, and Public Education. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Philip Freeman. I'm with the Attorney General's Office, Division on Civil Rights. I am the Assistant Director. I manage our mediation unit, and I'm also the Director of our Bureau of Prevention, Outreach, and Public Education. On behalf of Attorney General Graywall and Director Rachel Weiner-Apter, it's a pleasure for me to be here to first of all congratulate all of you who are honorees today. There's one honoree who used to work with us, and that's Jean Stanfield. She's a very personal friend. We worked together for many years in civil rights before she went to the Burlington County Prosecutor's Office, and then her successful career as Burlington County Sheriff. So Jean, I personally want to extend heartfelt congratulations to you. It's a pleasure to see General Hoffman here today. Again, welcome, and we certainly appreciated your service as the Attorney General, and it was a pleasure to work for you under your tenure. So I'd like to just commend General Hoffman once again. Our mission with the Division on Civil Rights is to enforce the New Jersey law against discrimination. We have 19 protected categories under the LAD, as we refer to it, and arguably the most comprehensive anti-discrimination laws in the country. And having said that, we also have another charge, which is to foster goodwill and advocate for harmonious relationships between all racial, ethnic, religious groups, the GLBTQ community, persons with disabilities, and any protected category that falls under our jurisdiction. And having said that, we engage in having training, seminars, workshops. We collaborate with the Division of Criminal Justice. We work very closely with them. When Phil Aronow was with the Division of Criminal Justice, we worked very closely with him in providing training for community groups on the LAD, bias crimes, and bias-related incidents. And that brings me to a major point I'd like to make here this morning, is our inherent interest in collaborating with you, the law enforcement community, in many different ways. We'd like for you to join us, as well as prosecutors, and we've worked very closely with them over the years, to educate the public on bias crimes, bias-related incidents, the law against discrimination, and certainly to enhance police-community relationships. And we feel that it's very essential for us to build a bridge of trust, not only with our agency, but with all communities throughout the state. So we're very interested in working with you. By the way, Director Maples with the New Jersey Homeland Security is a wonderful partner with us. We're a member of the Interfaith Advisory Council, and if you haven't, as he mentioned, if you haven't joined that organization, we would really, really encourage you to do so. There's some very, very important information that's shared when we have our call conference meetings. So with that, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I just want to encourage you to work with us we're more than happy to work with you. We'll collaborate in any way we can to have seminars, workshops, and whatever type of activity you may have. And we recognize, too, that your role as police and law enforcement officers is not only to protect and serve the residents of our state, but we, too, need to foster goodwill, promote police-community relations, and have such a community collaboration that police officers should receive the respect that all of you deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call up our 2018 Special Honoree, Chris Fletcher, who will be representing all our past honorees for a few remarks.
Well, Mike, I got 10:17 on my watch, so my speech is going to go out the window because I know you were trying to get done by 10:30, and that's not going to happen. Last year, I did receive the Jewish Community Service Award, and that was a great honor. And this year, I thought it was appropriate just to come back and hit a few points on what we've been doing with the chaplains, especially in Burlington County. In Maple Shade specifically, we've been working very hard with looping in the chaplains handling all our station house adjustments. That has helped out our school resource officer immensely. It's been very beneficial in working with the community as well, because the chaplains have done a great job of interfacing with the parents. And the main goal that we have is just to kind of keep the kids on the straight and narrow. And oftentimes when we have a youth that's diverted and they come in contact with a chaplain, we don't have any kids reoffending. They're staying on the correct path, and that's one of the goals that we have for the program. The next thing I wanted to cover real quick was Burlington County is probably one of the fastest growing chaplain programs in the state of New Jersey. Part and parcel, Eric Jarvis, who's the president of the Burlington County Police Chaplains Association, has done a great job of interfacing with the law enforcement community, and his relationships that he has built with the Burlington County Chiefs Association, as well as working with all the chaplain liaison officers, has been a great challenge and commitment, and I think we've shown some tremendous successes along the way. Last thing I was just going to cover real quick is one of the things you've been hearing a lot about is discussions about resiliency training. So back in 2014, I'm down in Alexandria, Virginia, and when I'm down there, I'm with Dr. Bill Lewinsky from the Force Science Institute, and he was talking about this concept of resiliency. So I was fascinated by that. I came back, I started talking with one of my detectives, Jeff Engel, who's also an Air Force reservist, and I had Jeff start doing some legwork with me. We ended up reaching out to the University of Pennsylvania. We had a conference call followed by some in-person meetings, and we looped in very early Chaplain Vince McDonald, Chaplain Greg Ginian, and also Gary Holden from the Police Chaplain Program. Fast forward by putting a tremendous team together, and Jeff was gracious enough to step aside, and we had Brian Martino come in as our lead detective and resiliency trainer for Burlington County, because he was also an Army reservist who was also an MRT, or Master Resiliency Trainer himself, and he stepped in to take the lead role for the agency. But in March of this year, one of the things that I was trying to drive home the point on was we need to take care of our families, our spouses, significant others, and for a younger agency like us now, the parents of some of our officers. So what we did was, in March of this past year, in a partnership with PBA Local 267 and Chaplain Greg Ginian, we put on the first training in the state that we know of where we brought all those family members in, and we delivered the first 2 modules of the Officer Resiliency Program. That went over extraordinarily well. We had over 40 family members show up. We've already planned the next event for June, and we're looking forward to continue to expand that program. The last thing I would leave you with this thought: there's many of you here who wear a dual hat as a firefighter, an EMT, and also we know we have telecommunicators out there. The goal when we started talking with the University of Pennsylvania back in 2015 was not just to do this for the cops, but to look at the rest of the first responder team. And I would say to you that when you walk out the door and eventually resiliency does come to your agency, think about the other members of that team, just like we're thinking about them now. Not just your spouses and significant others, but think about those firefighters at EMTs that are usually on your right and your left when you're out there handling something serious. Congratulations to all the winners today and the honorees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You may see these little teddy bears up here, and most of you know what they are. It's a program that the Men's Club runs for Toys for Tears, for little kids that were maybe in a traumatic situation. We distribute them to law enforcement and others for the purpose, maybe to comfort them, get them through that situation, have something positive of a bad situation. And how many people here have given out these bears? Anybody in the room? Does it have the effect that you were hoping? Great, thank you. I'm going to call up Monsignor Mike Mannion. He's a chaplain for the Society of Former FBI Agents.
I wanted you to know that one of the big things, important things in chaplaincy is ecumenism. And with that in mind, it wasn't so long ago that a cardinal recommended to the Pope that we have a golf tournament between the Jewish community and the Catholic community. The cardinal said, I have a suggestion. Why don't we make Greg Norman a cardinal to represent us, to play in this tournament? And so it was. The day after the Pope said, how did it go? Norman said, well, good news and bad news. What's the good news? The good news, I played my best game ever. All the holes, perfect shots. What's the bad news? Well, I was beat by a Rabbi Tiger Woods. Before the reflection, I wanted to share April 23rd, Tuesday, next week, Woodcrest Country Club, 6:30, 5:30 reception, 6:30. There'll be a presentation, Wheeling and Dealing, the history of the opioid crisis and the impact of Ground Zero, no charge. It'll be presented by Supervisory Special Agent Vito Roselli, the FBI, now in charge of the Cherry Hill office. And it's open to families, professionals, educators, law enforcement. Vito has done a lot of the classes down at Quantico, around the country. He's the best of the best on this issue. So I encourage you to encourage those you care about, those who work in this field to come, especially families who have lost loved ones to drugs and want to make a difference in the future rather than just mourn the past, which is also important. Hey, officer, said a civilian not so long ago, I pay your salary. How much do you make? The officer thought for a moment and said, I make holding your hand seem like the most important thing in the world when someone tries to hurt you. I make those annoying sirens seem like angels when you need them. I can make your child breathe when he stops. I make myself get out of bed at 3 a.m. to risk my life to save people I've never met. I make myself go to work for your family's safety, a duty that I will die for. I make myself work birthdays, holidays, nights, anniversaries, and disasters. Today I make the ultimate sacrifice to save your life. I make a difference. What do you make? What do you make? The chaplain makes a difference, I pray, too. First, by understanding the meaning of the words you just heard. Word by word, experience by experience, story by story, being able to listen, not just to your words, but to your feelings, and cultivate a sharing of the stories. It's not just the lessons we learn by heart, it's the lessons the heart will learn that make a difference, I think, as a chaplain supporting all of you. People really don't care how much you know, degrees, etc., until they know how much you care. I pray that I don't meet an officer, an agent, for the first time at Cooper Hospital at 2 in the morning, and I walk in and the officers say to me, "Hi, how are you? Who are you?" If they say that to me, I've already got one strike against me. Because they should know me and have an opinion of me. I pray good, trusting, before I ever hit that hospital door. Alluded to earlier in the talk. If you don't know us and check us out and feel comfortable and safe with us before the crisis, it's hard to build that trust just in a moment of crisis. We try to utilize resources at our disposal to build relationships. Teddy bears are teddy bears are teddy bears. But they're incredible vehicles, instrument of building trust with a child so the child feels safe. And in that safety we'll share. And in that sharing, things that are shared might lead to the safety and saving of other lives. And congratulations to Mike Perloff for running with this for so many years, and all those that work with them to make it the great outreach it is. And we have to be in touch with our own spirituality, our own humanity, our own illusions and delusions. And sometimes that means recognizing there's no limit to the amount of good we can do if we don't care who gets the credit. And sometimes taking the hit when it's not our fault, but knowing that there's a greater good involved than our ego. And recognizing that sometimes in your profession and in mine, in our profession, no good deed goes unpunished. And that's when we say, Lord, Mother Teresa used to say, let people use you without asking your permission. Let God use you without asking your permission. Recognizing that you're called to be servant leaders. And sometimes a chaplain can do a lot by encouraging an officer, a trooper, an agent who's down and out and feeling he's had a whole slew of bad days, and just pointing out to him his best qualities and gifts and talents. And that sometimes becomes the best servant leader in the department. And finally, recognizing the balance between warrior and guardian, and the stress that goes with trying to maintain that balance in moments of gunfire and danger, and trying to understand those split-second decisions between life and death. I think it's important chaplains understand that too. And so, in the words of Micah the prophet, I pray we can all continue to seek to act justly, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with our God. Would all the chaplains here please stand to be recognized, if you would. Thank you very much. God bless you. Happy Easter and happy Passover.
Good morning. So as the current General Counsel of Rutgers University, I spend hours with faculty and academics debating and discussing some more many of the issues that we have talked about this morning. And for that reason, I cannot tell you how glad I am to be back amongst my law enforcement family, at least for just a short breakfast, which is a group of people that, from my perspective, balance and respect the rights and privileges of our citizenry their right to speak, their need to be safe, and the respect for the law in a way that is as smart as anybody I find myself around these past couple of years. So thank you all for that. It is an honor to stand here as a past honoree and have the opportunity with my old and some new friends and colleagues to present these awards. First, let me say that the three, and would be four if John Lenahan did not have an emergency, have, from my perspective, done a wonderful job, a fantastic job as the chief law enforcement officer of their counties. And if you don't mind, I think deserve one more quick round of applause for that. I also want to say one thing about the honorees, and I think I feel free to say this, and that is that although we celebrate individuals and their accomplishments today, and they are great, those individuals and those accomplishments would not be possible without the people around them who support them, without their chiefs, and without their colleagues. I felt this way, and I hope everybody does also, that these honors are presented to individuals, but they are deserved by everybody who they work with. And all of those people should share in a tremendous sense of pride for everyone that comes up to this podium and that receives an award. So I'm going to start, but first by introducing up to the podium Sergeant Sharon Gray Hameen. Sergeant? Sergeant, this is recognizing your efforts, along with other sheriff officers, to promote trust, understanding, and cooperation between law enforcement and the community. Your initiatives and give-back programs have impacted on school children, the homeless, and families at the Ronald McDonald House. God bless and congratulations.
This is going to be short. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate this. I'm very humbled by this, to be recognized just for doing what you do. Like, you don't usually get that. And I'm blessed to work under an administration that is so supportive. It understands what it means to service the community. And I accept this on behalf of all the members of the Sheriff's Office who help with all these endeavors. Thank you.
Can I introduce up to the podium Brian McHenry? Brian, this is for your commitment to the principles of fair and impartial policing and your dedication and efforts to inspire other law enforcement professionals to adopt these principles as they serve your community and as they serve the country. As part of your mission, you have organized a training program focusing on lessons of the Holocaust. God bless and congratulations. Let me also say, before I ask Brian to deliver a few words, that Brian's award, Sharon's award, and the other awards are accompanied by a congressional recognition of these awards. And I'm going to read this for you, and this is what applies to all the awardees. Be it known that the undersigned member of the United States Congress, the Honorable Donald Norcross of the 1st Congressional District of the great state of New Jersey, hereby congratulates Captain Brian McHenry and all of the other honorees of the Gloucester Township Police Department for your recognition from the Law Enforcement Appreciation Program.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the award. It's an honor to receive it. Really want to accept the award on behalf of the men and women of the Gloucester Township Police Department, though. It's really our organization as a whole. They work hard every day to perform their duties with fairness and tolerance towards everyone. And I just want to say thank you.
Andy Davis. Andy, recognizing the emotional burden that law enforcement and the public share when dealing with tragic events, you've established a police chaplain program in Clayton, New Jersey. The positive impact of this program has spread to numerous other municipalities. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What an honor it is to be here today. And again, it's really not an honor that I deserve. It really is, the Monsignor pointed out, it truly is the chaplains that deserve this honor. If I can, just have the chaplain stand up one more time, along with any law enforcement that is a liaison or has anything to do with the chaplain program, because you guys are really the ones that should be honored today. I have faith, and I know that it comes from a higher power, a higher law enforcement officer, not just my prosecutor, Chuck Fury, but God himself definitely made this come in place for me. So if you can, please, anybody that's a chaplain or involved with the chaplain program, I'd like to give you a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And we have one final honoree, Prosecutor Fiore, for facilitating the expansion of the Clayton Police Department Chaplain Program to other municipalities because of its positive impact on police-community relations. You have coordinated meetings between police chiefs and members of the clergy in Gloucester County that resulted in stronger ties to the religious community. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Maybe I can convince my wife that I am a god. I've been trying to tell her that for years. But aside from that, I woke up one day appointed to Gloucester County Prosecutor, and it's quite an honor and a distinction to serve in that position. I was in 30 years of private practice, and again, woke up the next day and I was the county prosecutor. And as I jokingly said with all my fellow county prosecutors, I'm still looking for the instruction manual about how to be the county prosecutor. But I slowly realized that for the first few days I was referred to as sir by all the employees in my office, all the investigators, lay staff, and the AAPs, and I went home and tried to convince my wife to call me sir, and you know what her response was. But all kidding aside, when I look back at it, I've only been here for about 18 months, and when my career is over, I'll be able to look back at not my 30 years of private practice and some of the good that I did during my tenure as a private attorney, but the honor and distinction of being a part of a brotherhood and sisterhood that surpasses everything else in the world. And I'll be able to look back at that and thank God that I had the opportunity to serve in that position. I slowly realized, too, that with all the insurmountable challenges that we have with the negative press, limited funding, the requirements of our job, dealing with the public in general, and trying to convey the fact that we're out there trying to do good and preserve the peace, that it wasn't going to work unless there was a partnership. And I realized that with the group of the Chiefs Association, I wasn't going to accomplish many of the goals that were going to be needed to be accomplished in Gloucester County without their help. And I want to give my applause to the Chiefs Association, the members that are here today, because without them, we can't move forward. And a lot of programs that are moved forward, they're not my programs, they're our programs. And we'll hope to continue to work together and build that strong relationship to get the message out. Again, thank you very much. I'm humbled by being here, and everybody have a good day. Thank you.
So there is a common theme amongst all of our honorees, and it's a theme that we celebrate this morning, and that is one of community and police relations. And it can never be underestimated, the importance of that. And I know I mentioned this once before, but I can never, ever forget sitting in the Justice Department of Washington and talking to the Attorney General, and her listing the things that she wanted to accomplish with law enforcement. And as she went through the list, I started to say at first under my breath, but then louder, done that, done that, done that. And it became apparent at that meeting that we in New Jersey had done everything that she already really wanted to do. And she asked me, how? How are you in New Jersey accomplishing all that? And I told her, you're asking the wrong person, because I'm not the one doing it. The people in this room are doing it. And that type of thing that we were able to talk about that morning in the Justice Department, that's what we celebrate today for all of our honorees, and that's what each of the honorees celebrated from their colleagues. Something to be incredibly proud of for everybody in this room and for our honorees. So I'm just going to say, once again, and I said it the last time I was here, and if I ever have the privilege to stand at this podium again, I'll say it again. Thanks to everybody.
Special honoree Sheriff Dean Stanfield, come up, please. President of Burlington County Chiefs Association, William Eliason, come on, please.
Good morning. On behalf of the Burlington County Police Association and all law enforcement in Burlington County, I would like to thank the Jewish Community Relations Council of Southern New Jersey for hosting our law enforcement community this morning and honoring the hard work and selfless dedication of our law enforcement brothers and sisters. Congratulations, everybody, today. I have the esteemed honor to introduce the Burlington County Police Association Award nominee, Burlington County Sheriff, Ms. Jean Stanfield. On January 1st, 2002, Jean Stanfield was sworn in as Burlington County's first female sheriff. Sheriff Stanfield is the second woman in New Jersey history to serve as a county sheriff. She had been serving as undersheriff of Burlington County Sheriff's Department since 1996, and prior to that, she'd been an assistant prosecutor in Burlington County. Before she completed Rutgers Law School in Camden, she worked for the New Jersey Attorney General's Office as a grant specialist and for the New Jersey Division of Criminal Rights on Community Outreach. Sheriff Stanfield chairs the Burlington County Traffic Safety Committee, co-chairs the Burlington County Anti-Terrorism Task Force with Prosecutor Kafina. She is a member of the Burlington County Police Chiefs Association, the Burlington County Youth Services Advisory Council, the Sheriff's Association of New Jersey, the Burlington County Military Affairs Committee, and one of the founders of New Jersey Women in Law Enforcement. During her time as a Sheriff's Department, she has been able to obtain over $6.5 million in grants to create and maintain community programs that serve our youth and senior citizens. These grants have enabled the Sheriff's Department and local law enforcement to conduct proactive anti-crime and traffic enforcement operations. Sheriff Stanfield oversaw and was instrumental in implementing numerous youth programs offered by the Sheriff's Department, which include an equine facilitated mentoring program for at-risk teens at Glen Eyrie Farms, Police and Teens Together, PATT, which allows teens to experience the split-second decision-making required by police officers, youth police academies, child safety seats checkpoints, Law Enforcement Explorer Post 150, annual holiday toy drives, and an Easter egg hunt for children with special needs in Burlington County. Some of the other programs Sheriff Stanfield has brought to Burlington County include Project Lifesaver, which is a search and rescue program for those with autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, or other conditions where they may wander or become lost. Senior Citizen Police Academies, Senior Home Security Program, Senior and Veteran Identification Cards, the Senior Expo, the Veteran Expo, and much more. All the aforementioned while being the lead law enforcement executive of the Burlington County Sheriff's Department, supervising over 70 sheriff's officers who are responsible for providing court security for Burlington County Court and administrative buildings. The Sheriff's Department also operates a County Fugitive Unit, a Canine Unit, and the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. The Sheriff's Department also assists municipal police departments with traffic enforcement, special operations, and community events. Sheriff Stanfield has set an example for all law enforcement throughout her career, and I am honored to call her a colleague and a friend. Congratulations.
All the best.
Thank you so much. I'm very humbled and honored, and it's just a very special time for me, so thank you for that. Thank you to all of you that put together this breakfast year after year, Mike Perlman and the committee, all the sponsors and co-sponsors, and I'd like to thank Chief Eliason and the Burlington County Police Chiefs Association for nominating me and for being here today. Thank you. Special thanks also to the Burlington County Sheriff's Department. All the things we've accomplished, we've done together. All the men and women in our department do a fantastic job, and it's truly been a pleasure to serve with all of them. When I first became acting sheriff, it was August of 2001, just a few short weeks before 9/11. And at that point in time, I think things really started to change for law enforcement. We started to deal with terrorism, educating our officers, educating the community about what acts of terrorism look like. We responded to anthrax threats. We ended up training our dogs to detect bombs. And things continued to change over the years. Technology changed. We started with cars and cameras in the cars. We ended up with GPS, digital recording, finally body-worn cameras, automatic license plate readers. Things just kept evolving and changing. But the one thing that never changed was this breakfast. And I've been coming here for many, many years. And I have to thank Mike Perlman, who calls every year to remind me about the breakfast. And it's been a wonderful thing. And congratulations to all of you involved in that, because you had the vision and the foresight to see how important it is to get people together in a room that we know each other, we have bonds, and as was said earlier by the director, you don't want to be exchanging business cards in the middle of a crisis or a command post. We do that now. And I think this has really stood the test of time. It's as important today as it was in 1996. So congratulations to all of you involved in it. Thank you again for this honor. I truly appreciate it. God bless you all.
Well, will Rabbi Gary Gans come for the closing benediction, please?
Shalom, everyone. I stand here today proudly representing the Eastern Township Police Department as a chaplain. I also represent all of the chaplains who are here, who give their time, and for that matter, to every single person in the room who is, in fact, a child of God. I ask you all, please, to stand for this closing benediction. Our common God, who has been the God stretching back to time immemorial, to the beginning of time itself. To the same God who represents all of our values, of our descendants, and our infinite future. We turn to God for protection. We turn to God for a sense of shalom, of peacefulness, of completeness, and a sense of righteousness in doing that which is the good deed that we represent. That is, in fact, our aspiration. As we approach this Holy Week in Christianity, next week, the Holy Week of Passover in Judaism, may we be inspired by those values of freedom and peace and life. May we go and grow from strength to strength in peacefulness, tranquility, and respectfulness. And let us respond. Amen. You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Now for what you've all been waiting for, the 50-50. And, Ed Stein, our treasurer, come up? And will Gene Stanford come back to be the somebody we can trust to draw the tickets?
You want to talk? As soon as the third prize is given, and then the second prize, and then the first prize, don't throw away your tickets. We've had donated plaques for the Eagles Super Bowl team. We have 6 of them, so there's going to be 9 awards today, so sit tight.
So our first draw will be for, total collected was 600, so that's 300 for the charities and 300 for the winners. Our first award will be 20% for the third place winner, which is $60. The second one will be $90 for the second place winner, and then $150 for the first place winner. Jean, This is the third place winner. Last 3 numbers of your ticket, 788. Last 3 numbers, 788. All right.
Just wanted to make sure it was all ready. They're donating this back. Thank you.
Second place winner. Last 3 numbers, 798. It was 788, now it's 798.
That was they donated.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're the treasurer.
I'm all right, yeah.
Have to have an accountant. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, first place winner. $872.
Wait, that's the game.
150. And then we're going to draw 6. We have 6 Eagles plaques. They're very nice. I've seen them before. First winner. Draw another one. Draw another one. We'll draw 2 at a time. Okay. So the first 2, 845. 845. Right there, 869. 869. Hey, 2 more. 782. 782. Next one, 857. 857. 857.
Now, as I say goodbye to everybody, I want to paraphrase Monsignor Manning. I wish all my Christian friends and family a wonderful Easter. I wish my Jewish friends and family a Zisen Pesach, or a sweet Passover. And to all my atheist friends, good luck.